Welcome back, and today this video might get a little long because I'll be covering UFO conspiracies, the Haunebu Project, created by the Nazi Third Reich regime during World War II, as well as a more spiritual aspect to all of that with the Mer-Ka-Ba technology and interdimensional travel, interstellar travel as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have the documents. I'm telling you this out before you guys watch the video fully through. Some of these documents I did not know. I did as much research as I could. They might be forged. I doubt though, because the authenticity, the credibility of these documents is pretty high. So we have four types of known aircrafts. The Haunebu aircrafts. These are, as you guys might know from a bunch of conspiracy theories and stuff, as UFOs. But the craft type 1 is the Haunebu 1. This document claims that it was about 25 meters in diameter. It had a holding capacity of about 8 people, hovering capability 8 minutes. Some things to notice about is its diameter. I will return to that. Furthermore, its speed was insanely high, 4,800 kilometers per hour. Only very few planes do actually achieve that speed. And this craft could hover and cruise through space. Maybe theoretically it could go to 17,000 kilometers per hour, probably in higher altitudes, less weather resistance. Regardless, it was available for service in 1944. Here we have the Haunebu 2. Its diameter is slightly bigger, so by a couple meters, not much difference. Its crew was one bigger. It had armaments, slightly more, or turrets and stuff. Here we have a picture. I don't know how authentic that is, but the Haunebu 3 was a 70-meter diameter craft. 70 meters is a very great distance. This thing could hold up to 32 people. That's not even the biggest one of the Haunebu. But this craft could hold up to that many people. It had a quiet flight of 25 minutes. And this was towards the end of the war, so 1945, actually the exact end of the war, when this craft was flown. We don't know what happened to it. There's no remains of these. Well, that I know of, at least. Again, the speed is 7,000 kilometers per hour, theoretically up to 40,000 kilometers per hour in less air-resistant environments. We have the Haunebu 4. This thing, undocumented, theoretical, or would have been projected in 46. The war had ended by then, or was closing, so this craft was most likely, if it existed, was most likely destroyed, and nothing is left of it for the Allies to have taken and used the technology for that. Here are a couple diagrams. I don't know, there's a US patent of a hovercraft. This on the right side of the screen is, I doubt, very authentic document, but it shows possible aircrafts. Note the Thule machine, which is below Haunebu 1 on the top right. That will return later to the Thule and all that. Also the Vril 4, V7, and Vril 1. Those ones will be also mentioned later. Here we have the Bell technology, which on the left side of the screen, which is patented by James F. King Jr. The Bell technology will also come in later. Here we have a couple documents. All of them are real. I promise you. If somehow they're fake, I don't know how they could be. It's basically if the government had given you these documents. So if the government had faked these documents, good for them. But we have the Roswell one in the middle. That's something that a bunch of it's marked out because the CIA doesn't want us to know some information. Similar with the MK Ultra documents, which were burnt afterwards. CIA on the right side has, you can see in there, subject flying saucers. And then on the left, from the National Archives of Australia, link will be in the description, so you can look through this. All these this National Archives of Australia document is in the next couple mentioned. Yeah, there you go. So here we have the summary of it. That document I was showing previously, it is authentic, 100%. It's closed document, meaning it was classified, but it's not anymore, so we can see it. And it talks about UFO reports, okay, unidentified flying object reports, U.S. aircrafts that can only that only an extraterrestrial origin could be envisioned, or according to another theory, which other people claim on the internet, and I also do claim, that the Nazis had actually used their aircrafts to get to the Antarctic. I'll get to that later. Anyway, with the CIA, okay, so this document is in connection with the CIA as well as a couple other projects under the Australian thing. Here we have another page of it, so page 6. Talks about the UFO problem that has been tending to remain hidden, meaning that, yes, when this document was classified, it did not want people to look at it. So it's an official report by the CIA, U.S. Air Force, as well as the British Air Force and a couple other ones, which you'll see later on. And it also went specifically into the UFO's weapon system, which I'll compare to the Haunebu types. Here we have the list from all the gathered data, so about 1,000 reports of landings and other encounters with UFOs. And here are 3 primary weapons, which majority had. Some of them might have had just one, some of them another, but all of these 3 and only these 3 have been found. So a device to interfere with electrical circuits, a device to induce paralysis, a heat ray. Those weapons could have been some of the gadgets found on the Haunebu crafts. I do not know for sure what exactly armaments those were. I do know those are high-powered armaments on those Haunebu crafts. Here we have descriptions. Again, notice the diameter. Remember the diameter from previously? It was a brown object, okay? A disc-shaped brown object, 30 feet long and 8 feet high, meaning the diameter of it was 33 feet, which could have been, from the distance the person saw driving that truck, could have been mismeasured it, but it's around the diameter of the Haunebu number 2, okay? Again, orange craft. Orange craft with 20 feet diameter. Now think about it, some UFOs could be super tiny, but why specifically 20 feet diameter oval object, 20-foot diameter orange craft, 33-foot diameter object, which was brown. Here we have, again, this is a couple pages later in the same document, 65 diameter disc. This diameter, this probably might have been the Haunebu 3. Again, 50 diameter black bell, or disc, could have appeared to different people. 50 diameter, 65 diameter, same distance. Here we have one of the very close descriptions. Someone actually could get really close to it and encounter some of the people inside of it. So, and I quote, "The light came closer and landed on the road on a tripod. It was now seen to be 80 feet in diameter and 30 feet high. Something like an elevator came down with a man in blue overalls." Key point, blue overalls. How? They're not aliens. They could be Nazi soldiers, which have just been, and this document was, by the way, published during World War II, so these could be just Nazi guys coming in, or not Nazi guys, German engineers who pilot these crafts, land somewhere, take a break, pee break or somewhere, and they're blue overalls. Furthermore, we have here the weapon is used at a range of 100 meters. If you might have noticed, some of the armaments did have a range of 100 meters in the Haunebu 2 and higher. It would also appear that this case, ignition loss, could be a side effect of the power sustaining the ball of fire. So the ball of fire is again described as could have been these Haunebu aircrafts, because when you go at a certain speed, metal could sort of disintegrate and heat up. So it might have appeared as a ball of fire, somewhat like a comet entering the atmosphere. So here we go. I will also mention the previous documents. Side effects, I will mention one more thing in the future. Anyway, overalls and helmet. So a man in overalls and a helmet. This is a different page. Okay, this is in France. The previous one was in a different country. Man in overalls and helmet, holding a metal rod that had a light projection on his chest. Okay, and then the man and the craft soon vanished. Now, in these documents, you will scroll through them if you'd like to look at them. It continuously references a guy with a metal rod or a couple guys, and they paralyze them with it. So it might have been a new weapon, just a paralysis weapon, which the Germans might have used, not a gun, but we don't know. I don't know. Here's another, okay, this is another page. You can see in the top corner, the page numbers. 2 helmeted figures near dome, okay? Nog was paralyzed. 2 helmeted figures. Again, aliens, according to common stream media and theories such as that, are not helmeted. Why? Well, these German pilots were. Okay, so a 4 foot 3 inch tall being by a tree aiming a flashlight beam. So this could have just been a pilot taking a pee break or something, because there's no restroom on the Haunebu crafts. A pilot in a diving suit emerges. Okay, diving suit. They have piloting. Look at any images of a pilot from a normal aircraft. They're big, bulky, so they're warm because if you're such a high altitudes, you get cold. So it's just not a diving suit, but more of you could replace it with a pilot suit, you know. Okay, here we have another description of a spaceman, which looked into the kid's eyes. Maybe because that blue eyes, it could might have been, I don't know. Another below that is 3 men who spoke slowly. This took place in Argentina. These Germans could have been fluent in German, but they didn't know Spanish, so they maybe were tasked to patrol certain area in Argentina, and they had to speak. They were speaking slowly because the witness was an Argentinian, most likely. So they were speaking slowly in Spanish because they are not proficient. And nonetheless, 2 men smaller than 4 feet. This is interesting. One of them took a small tube from its container attached to his belt and pointed it at Masse. Masse is a name, okay, and paralyzed him. Again, here's the gun-like technology, which the Germans must have evolved during this time as well. A paralysis weapon, okay. And finally, we have the beam on the craft, and it's, again, this was previously a couple documents ago, or just a couple pages ago, an effect of at least 100 meters, same distance. And on the Haunebu 2 and higher, their armaments go 100 meters. Now it's unknown. To prove the authenticity of this document, I've gone into the RAAF archives or whatever and found, I wasn't expecting this, but I found the guy who signed this document. So here you see National Archives of Australia on the bottom of the page. His name signed there, RAAF Intelligence Representative. And in the RAAF Rad School Association, we have him, pilot Hank Hurley. So we know that his name is Hank Hurley, but it here just says H.J. Hurley. So just want to get that out. Now, this I found on a different website, also linked below. It's a quote from William Line. So the diskettes, with the help of electrical force, the propulsion system generates an electric field around the disk, which forces the development of an internally navigation system, since the magnetic compass was useless for the disk. Okay. So here we have, this is all most likely from this document. It is a compass with a Nazi swastika right in the middle of it, most likely found or retrieved from some facility, probably installed within this. When they reference disk, they're meaning a Haunebu craft or a UFO. The disks were round and moved in a horizontal plane as well as up and down. Haunebu crafts to do that. Diskettes use a horizontal mounted gyroscope. If you noticed, some of the Haunebu 4 had it was called the gyro craft, meaning something to do with the gyro. So it had a main compass calibrated to true north, while the auxiliary true north. So I'll return back to the north in a second. Electromagnetic compass was oriented to the magnetic pole. The auxiliary compass was connected to the engine by means of a step relay. Okay, so this is from the occult physics of ether. Ether is very important later on. Tesla's propulsion system and the energy conspiracy. Okay, so energy, electricity, ether. They're all the same. Haunebu 1, so I quote, Haunebu 1 was allegedly the first large flying saucer developed in Germany. According to plans allegedly obtained from the classified German SS files, the Haunebu 1 was approximately 75 feet in diameter and probably lifted off the first time in August 1939. This perfectly, again, multiple sources pulling here together. These sources perfectly correlate with the stats in the closer to the beginning of the video. So a few weeks before the outbreak of World War II, end quote. Henry Stevens, German aircraft historian, not Henry Stevens, the biographer. Here we get into the more closely relating to the Mer-Ka-Ba technology, which I introduced this myself, but again, the same page. Notice the compass, true north. Here we have a diagram of the crossover of what the inside of this Haunebu 1 craft would have been like. So there's a ball, okay? Notice that there's a perfect sphere in the middle. Perfect sphere, okay? Some people believe it was a magnetic. Obviously, there's some magnetism going around in this donut-shaped cone originating from the middle. That's how it spins. That's how aircraft, hovercraft spin, okay? Here we have the Mer-Ka-Ba. So I'll show you again, up above, two separate rotating discs and the main ball in the middle, okay? So look at the bottom right corner of the screen, big ball, okay? Now, here we have the Mer-Ka-Ba. To the left of the screen now, we have in the middle, there's a big sphere and a small sphere. In the small sphere, you can see a tiny silhouette of a person. That person could be that ball. So it could be an artificially created Mer-Ka-Ba within these Haunebu crafts. Now, this disc forms this energy capsule in the perfect shape of a disc. So this ball of light could be that capsule, which I was mentioning earlier. Here on the right, we have two counter-rotating. Well, technically it's one rotation, but as it goes around, it looks like it's counter-rotating, big donut shape. And this is around the Mer-Ka-Ba. You can, when you enter meditation, you can do this. And all this is from by the way, all this is from the Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life, Volume 2 book I've referenced in my last video. And this two counter-rotating fields are, for the human body at least, a movement shield. It's extra terrestrial movement. So it's this craft. So this can be artificially recreated in the Haunebu, as we have again on the top right of the screen. The Haunebu is a physical machine which can hold a artificial Mer-Ka-Ba within it. Maybe there's a person in there, I don't know how they create the Mer-Ka-Ba. Regardless, it's a perfect sphere. Your Mer-Ka-Ba, your tetrahedron is in a perfect sphere. It shoots out this Mer-Ka-Ba around and around, spins super fast, and once that spins, the craft can hover. Now, within this, you can command your Mer-Ka-Ba to make these counter loops, as on the left side of the screen, which then create the rotating energy fields, which then lift the craft off, and you can command it however you'd like to. And then below we have, again, in the book, remember this is in the book, page 365, is a sombrero galaxy in the shape of a Haunebu craft. Oh, this video is getting long. So here we have a book by Brad Olson, and it mentions Haunebu, Vril, and Bellcraft. I'll get to those three. So Haunebu, we've already talked about. Vril and Bellcrafts were similar, as I've already mentioned in the beginning of the video. And Vril Society will be in a few moments. And then the Bell technology. So here we have the Thule Society and the Black Sun Society. These societies were in the Nazi regime, Third Reich. They were secret societies, just like today we have a few societies, which I won't mention. These on the left, top left, we have the Thule Society swastika. Bottom right, we have the Black Sun symbology adopted by the Thule Society, as it's written there. In the center, there's a 1919 symbology showing a dagger with the swastika behind it. And then on the bottom left, we have the Black Sun sigil of modern day, which I actually probably won't say this, but in a certain war right now happening, some certain battalion has that as their symbol. I don't know if that's a coincidence. So let's get back on Haunebu. So here we have a book written by Miguel Serrano. It's originally in Spanish, but this book is written in English. So it's Adolf Hitler, the Ultimate Avatar. And in this book, on page 309, it says, the name given by the Hyperboreans to themselves was Haunebu, or Haunebut. Haunebu, meaning these crafts are named after a species of or individuals named Hyperboreans. In the above the highlighted sentence is the ancient fire of sacrifice went out in Hyperborea when the new fire appeared, the new sun. Okay, they're talking about the same sun, the black sun. Black Sun Society connects with Hyperborea. Hyperborea, as you'll see in the slide right here, is the northernmost continent. Okay, so the Thule Society, Black Sun Society, all connect together. So it is believed that this continent, which on Google Maps you cannot find since it's all blotted out, is a massive continent. It's the northernmost continent. And if you overlay this specific swastika, it's not a normal swastika, it's a special swastika, on this continent, it perfectly represents the each individual land mass. Okay, and now within the center of it is the black rock, and that is the true north. This black rock is the true north, not the magnetic north, the true north. Okay, so when the compasses on these Haunebu crafts would align to the true north, they would go for this rock, maybe to lead to it, maybe to find it, or maybe to just know where they are. Okay, and this is also this black rock is considered the black sun because it's a reflection of the sun within our enclosed Earth. Furthermore, here's on Wikipedia a connection. The Thule Society is named the Thule Society, spelled the exact same, because the Thule people who so the appellation Thule originates from the location of Thule, which is below. So the Thule people live in northwestern Greenland, and Thule is the northerly location mentioned in ancient literature and cartography, specifically Greek and Roman. But throughout all of this, as you can see, this all ties in together. Thule Society, which had Hyperborea, which is the northernmost continent, are called the Thule Society because their symbol represents the northernmost continent, and then Thule is the northernmost location ever. So everything ties to the north for some reason. And then these compasses with the same exact swastika on them coincidentally point to the true north, which is this black rock in the middle of the ocean on the continent of Hyperborea. Okay, and then here we have I did do research on this. This document is not 100% credible. There are people claiming it's a fake. I don't know. I'm just going to use it. You guys can make whatever you want of it. The PDF is pretty wonky, but it did say that, okay, if the diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd is, he was an actual person. He was a Freemason, 33-degree Freemason. He went to the Antarctica, did plenty of stuff there. He forced the Antarctic Treaty, which currently there's a war happening in Europe, yet all of those exact same countries in Antarctica, because Antarctica, if you search the Antarctic Pact or Treaty, it's Antarctica is bordered around and there's plenty of people. All the countries have their military there. No one's fighting in Antarctica, yet all the militaries have their things there. Nonetheless, he said that he was flying and he found this aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. Okay? And his controls went blank, so paralysis could have been. And then I quote, they are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. He also noticed a swastika on the side of it, meaning this craft is the Haunebu. I don't know which one it was because he didn't say how big it was exactly. Then when he was landed later, this is the end of his journal actually, is that he found a Nordic or Germanic accent. So these people live somewhere, still probably, well, this was during World War II because Admiral Byrd's expedition did happen during World War II. Nonetheless, he also said they were tall with blonde hair, okay, Aryans. Now, here we have one last thing. Along with, before I get to this, actually, if let me go back, the Admiral Byrd, his expedition, no one knows why, but he went, again, as I said, the Antarctic Treaty. Now, one thing which is not a coincidence is that Germans also went to Antarctica a ton. Here we have some statistics which are undeniable. The U-boats created by Germany, as you can see in the thumbnail, actually, there's a U-boat and a Haunebu craft together. But the U-boats were a very big piece of technology, okay? So the Germans valued it a lot. They didn't want it to fall into enemy hands so that the enemies could find out what they were doing and the high tech of it, okay? But if you look at these stats from the website, will be linked in the, it's even in the top right corner. The stats say that 765 U-boats between the years 1939 and 1945 have been lost, okay? Meaning they sunk, unknown location, or something happened to them, okay? Now, if we look at, that's a lot of boats, a ton of U-boats. They're all submarines, remember. Now, if we look at the numbers of how many were recovered, we only have 69. So if you subtract those, you get 696 unaccounted for U-boats, meaning they're not existent. Either they're in the bottom of the ocean, maybe the Deep Mariana Trench or something where you cannot find them, or elsewhere. So they could all have just happened to vanish somewhere, right? And all in water. So they might have either gone underneath somewhere where we can't find them. They might have gone to Hyperborea and are just right now there. And there's a massive empire. People are living in that Hyperborea without us even knowing. Well, us as in, it doesn't matter. Or they went to the Antarctica and they're still there. Or we don't know. Simply if Admiral, the coincidence of it being that Admiral Byrd went to Antarctica, supposedly met Nazis, and the Nazis had massive exploits there and lost all their U-boats there, or maybe still have them there, is something to be thought about. So finally, to conclude this video, it's gone a very bit long, is my information sourcing. I tried actually looking to disprove the UFO theory, but it became harder than I thought it was, because if UFOs are Haunebu crafts, which I most likely think that they are, then I've had an article on the left, as you can see, says that a toy was made to look to be a UFO type craft, and then the conspiracy came around. Otherwise, I don't believe that, because looking at all these dates, and I did not pick and choose these. This in the middle one, the Alex Lipich man-made UFOs. That article is the oldest article I could find on my Google search. Again, Google search is AI tracked, whatever. February 11th, 1976 is way older than 2018, okay, as well as 2016. And in 2013, down below, we have another UFO conspiracy, as well as the Forgotten German Technique. I will post that link. It's a very good chat group. In 2008, okay, all of these things, all of my resources, except for maybe that one diary from Admiral Byrd, are 100% credible. And I guarantee you that this video is not something fake. I'm not doing reviews. My channel is not even monetized yet. So you guys think of whatever you want. Thank you for watching. It was a super long video. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of this. I do this for free. Like if you like the video. Please comment for anything else I could cover, any conspiracy theories. And have a great day. None shall defy the crest of Erdan.